It is Bassmaster Classic Week, and we have not one, but two champions on this show from two different sports. Bassmaster Classic Champion Davy Hite and Stanley Cup Champion Bryan Bickell. This week on Mercer.
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
And welcome to the 10th episode of the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. I am Dave Mercer, and today is National Donald Duck Day, National Strawberry Rhubarb Pie Day, and National Earl Day. So no matter what you celebrate, thanks for coming here to celebrate Hump Day on the Mercer Podcast. And this is a big, big week. It is freaking Bassmaster Classic Week. Finally, a delayed classic due to COVID, but we are back, and it is rocking this week in Fort Worth, Texas, which means this whole show is going to be very, very rushed because it is Classic Week. And what do you do on Classic Week? I really did a lot of thinking of what we should do and shouldn't do, and I was going to have some competitors on, and then I thought, they get enough people pounding down their door on this week, and they got to focus on a tournament, and I wanted to do something different. So what we're going to do this time around is we're going to have two incredible champions. We're going to have a Bassmaster Classic champion and a Stanley Cup champion, Davy Hite and Bryan Bickell. We're going to compare the two different experiences from a champion's eyes. And clearly I don't know that, but they know that. And speaking of big things this week, history making week when it comes to the Bassmaster Classic. We're going to have 20-something hours of Bassmaster live on Bassmaster.com, which is incredible. But on Saturday morning on Fox, Network Fox, Big Fox, whatever you want to call it, on Saturday morning for 4 straight hours from 8 a.m. to noon, Bass Live will be on Fox, Network Fox. That's right. And when you think about that, I think this last year, so much stuff has got thrown at us with COVID and so many different things, and all the live stuff we did last year on ESPN, which was craziness. It was because every sport in the world had stopped. But when you really think about it, this is one of the biggest things in the history of this televised sport, really. When you don't think about the Bassmaster Classic, because we're all invested in that, but just think about what other events are 4 hours on Fox, on Network Fox. The Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, events like the Oscars. That's what gets 4 hours. But this week, the Bassmaster Classic will be live from 8 a.m. till noon on Fox, Network Fox. So all around the world, let's celebrate it, because that's what this week is. It is a celebration of our sport, a celebration of our industry, and it's the freaking Bassmaster Classic. I'm no different than, the little kid that was sitting on his knees on the carpeted floor looking up at a TV watching it when I was a kid, except it was 3 months later. Now it's all live. It's in front of you, and it's happening. And I got to go grab a flight to get there. So I'm not going to talk very much longer. I'm just going to bring in our guests. And as I said, we have two champions, one show, Davy Hite and Bryan Bickell. It is Bassmaster Classic Week, and what more classic of a thing to do than have two champions, two different sports. We've got, of course, Bryan Bickell, Stanley Cup champion, and my partner in crime at a lot of events, Davy Hite, Bassmaster Classic champion. First of all, guys, I don't think you've ever met before.
No, I think this is the first time.
First time. Great to meet you, Bryan. And it's a little long distance meeting, but maybe we'll be a little closer here in the near future.
Yeah, we'll cross paths when we get these borders open again, so we can start fishing again and crossing over the states. But crazy times here in Canada, but we're getting over it, and looking forward to getting our life back together. Oh, it's crazy. This online schooling. I didn't think I'd be a teacher. I'm still not a teacher. I am shutting the door on it. I'm fed up about it. Hats off to the teachers, because I couldn't do it.
You're done teaching.
Yes, I got grade 1 in kindergarten, and they're doing dancing, and it's hard to sit them in front of the computers for at least 7 hours. It's frustrating. It definitely makes me have a couple cocktails at night, I'll tell you that.
Well, when you're not teaching, You guys are part of a very rare group of people on earth, really, when you think about it. People that have achieved a lifelong dream, people who have achieved the ultimate status in their chosen sport. And before we get into achieving that, I wanted to start, and maybe we'll start with you, Davey. When did the Bassmaster Classic dream start for you?
Yeah, to be honest with you, Dave, I don't remember exactly when, probably around 11, 12 years old. And I was just a young fisherman that had that competitive desire to do whatever, competitive. I was in a sack race this past week and hurt my back. I'll do anything for a challenge. But probably about 11 or 12 years old. And then the more I read Bassmaster magazine and the more I was able to watch back in those days, just Bill Dance, Roland Martin, Virgil Ward, a few people had shows that I could watch. And I just dreamed of, because the ultimate in our sport is the Bassmaster Classic. And, I dreamed of playing in NFL and playing in a Super Bowl and being in a Bassmaster Classic. But at 5'11", when I graduated from high school, about 155 pounds, I realized I was not going to play in the NFL. So I pursued bass fishing a lot harder.
Bryan, when did the dream start for you?
Had to be a young age. I remember road trips, hotel hallways, playing mini sticks. Your Game 7, Stanley Cups on the line. You always dreamed of being from Canada. Hockey's sleep, eat, drink, play hockey. That's it. And when you're a young age, you dream about it, and hopefully your goal. And I'm fortunate to have the opportunity that I had, and I've won a couple of times. But then you look at the kids that I played with were way better than me when I was a kid, but then I just grew. I grew, 6 inches in 2 years. So that helped me. But the dream was always there when I was a kid. I know there was a lot of different paths and different bumps and in the curve of the road to get to there. But, to lift the Stanley Cup is every Canadian hockey player's dream to do that. And I know I had a special moment with you, Dave, too, to celebrate. I know you never made one of my hockey games, but
not one.
Yeah, you came out to my parties, and that was happy to have you there. So.
I did, and I explain it to you all the time that I was a true friend. I mean, he did invite me to a lot of games, but I could never go. And honestly, the biggest freaking regret I have, and that, is not going. That last time you won the cup, he literally called me that day and was like, "Man, come, you can." And that night, he texted or FaceTimed me 15 times from the locker room. I missed the biggest party because I tried to be professional the one time in my life, and I actually kept to my commitment and was supposed to shoot a show the next day. That show never aired because the fishing sucked. We had audio problems, and I was probably miserable, to be honest, because I missed a Stanley Cup party. But one of the things you mentioned, Davey, and I think both of you have it, and maybe it's already been answered from my experiences with you. You two are both some of the most competitive people I know. And it doesn't matter whether it's, like you said, a sack race, whether it's cornhole, whether it's mini sticks. It doesn't matter what you're playing, fishing, obviously. Do you think that is something? I mean, in all of your experiences, that's something that definitely, it seems like most champions have. I mean, they're just overly competitive.
Yeah, and I'll just real quick give you my opinion. I think it's definitely a big part of being successful. I mean, you just can't. And I know my mom and my dad, and I'm sure most young kids or mom and dad tell them not to be a sore loser. But I hate to admit it. I try to not just embarrass myself, but inside I have, when I lose, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And I think most successful people in sports are that way. It's not real fun to lose, and you want to get better each and every day so it doesn't happen.
Bix, that's something you said outside of your teaching experience, which we got to see. I mean, whoever gets to see a Stanley Cup champion while he's teaching, but outside of your teaching experience, is that something all the guys you played with, is it that overly? I mean, you're ridiculously competitive, uncomfortably competitive at times.
Yeah, I am. I think I have that bone in me that's what drives you. You want to make yourself better in anything. If it's playing cards or if it's playing basketball or whatever I do, I always want to win. And it's something that's always in me. Obviously, the competitive edge it's slowing down with having kids and just trying to lead them the right way and give them the kind of the competitive edge in a way. But I always want to win, whatever I do. You know, I'm a sore loser. Nobody likes losing. It's just something that I put on this to not do. I just don't like losing. It just doesn't feel good. And I don't sleep very well after it and after losses and things like that. And you just drive to be the best. And I'm working through that. I'm still trying to be a good dad. I'm still trying to be a good teacher, but it's tough. It's very tough.
You both, I mean, as much as we're going to celebrate your successes, you both have lost. I mean, in any sport, I mean, there's nobody that goes undefeated. Davy, how much, I mean, I know you lost the Classic before you won it. And literally, can you bring me through that experience? Because I don't think a lot of fans get to see that emotional roller coaster that happens before the boat goes through the curtains.
Yeah, and I'll try to make this short because it's a very important part of my success. It really is. And if I don't explain it a little bit, people won't understand. But the best thing that ever happened to me as a bass fisherman is to finish second in the Bassmaster Classic. And you say, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, I was leading and all the riders and people were telling me that I was going to win. I was leading the final day. I never led until the final day, but then the final day I had a real good day and was leading with one person left away. And everyone was telling me that I had enough. I was going to win kind of deal. Oh, excuse me. No, I was the last one to weigh in. George Cochran, who weighed in right before me. And in those days, it's kind of anticlimactic. The last person was always the winner.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I had quite enough, although I had a great day, but I rolled in there, the last person, the crowd is like, he's the winner. You know, they're already celebrating. And I had that doubt in my mind, but to walk up on the stage and Ray Scott grabbed my hand and George Cochran's hand, and when Dewey Kendrick called out the weight, you know, Ray dropped my hand and raised George Cochran's. And I went from being the person on the stage in that arena with, you know, in those days, 12,000 fans all on their feet, to nobody even would show me how to get off the stage. I mean, I was a nobody just that quick, so to speak. And so it obviously was crushing to me. But when I walked down the steps, my oldest son at that point was 5 years old, and my wife was pregnant with my youngest son, like 8 months pregnant. And he was crying his eyes out. And I knelt down with him, and nobody was looking at us. Like I say, George Cochran was getting in the boat with his family to do the victory lap. And when I finally got my emotions together, my son at 5 years old was just still crying. And I couldn't believe that he was that aware of what I had just missed on, you know, a lot of money and then the world championship of bass fishing. And finally, when I got him, I was like, calm down, Parker. Everything will be okay. It'll be okay. And, man, I get choked up every time I talk about this because it was so real. It was just like me and him were in a little bubble and all those people were doing something else. And when I finally got him, I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's quite this bad. So I finally got him and I said, why are you so upset? It'll be okay. Daddy's okay. And he looked up and he pointed at George and his family coming back to the stage after they'd done a victory lap. And he said, they told me I was going to get to ride in that boat. So that's all he was even aware of is he missed a little boat ride. But I looked him straight in the eyes, and I probably should not have done this, but I looked him straight in the eyes. I said, I promise you I'll win this Bassmaster Classic and we'll ride in that boat one day. And so it motivated me. The next 3 years were by far, you know, I won Angler of the Year the very next year, won the Cup the next year after that, and then won the Classic in 99. So it was, you know, we talk about not wanting to lose, but that drove me like I've never been driven to accomplish anything really probably in my life.
Bryan, do you ever have any similar experiences, you know, blows that you feel like, wow, I mean, I'm never going to, you know what I mean? Like at that moment, you don't know that I mean, it's easy to tell the story that Davy tells right now, but if the next few years doesn't happen, that story's got a whole different feel to it. Any experiences like that yourself?
Yeah, kind of, you know, making playoffs, just being so close by inches and seconds to make it to the next round and then be, you know, obviously winning the Cup. But then I have been to the finals 3 times. I was fortunate to be on the winning side of those 3 times, so I didn't get that bitter taste, but I've been in the conference finals multiple times with losing in Game 7 and OT, and the LA Kings, they demolished the Rangers that year, so it could have been another one. But you know, I was just so unfortunate to have the opportunities and just to be capitalized on it. I know, you know, sitting in the minors for 3.5 years, not knowing if I'm going to get that call up to play in the NHL, and riding the bus, playing 3-3s in different cities. It was a grind, but then just to keep my head down and pushing myself to, you know, succeed my goal. And, you know, we grinded it out, me and the wife, and we got there, and we were happy to be in a fortunate spot with the Blackhawks and at the right time, because, you know, we're a modern dynasty right now with 3 cups in 10 years. So it was a fun ride. It was obviously not the way I wanted to end it in my career, but it was a good career for the 10 years that I had. And, you know, there's things that you can look back with missing different things, but overall, I can't complain at all. It was an unbelievable experience.
Had a lot of highlights, and obviously, like you said, for those that don't know, got MS, forced to retire a little bit prematurely, but even through all that, had some freaking highlights. Like, well, what was tell me about your last game. I mean, it's like a movie, really. I mean, when you, as your buddy, I'm at home watching, and I'm like, really? Is he gonna, are you kidding me? Is this happening?
Yeah, so I've been obviously fortunate in my career to score OT goals, big goals in big moments. But
not a lot in the regular season, though.
No, I'd say the regular season wasn't my game. I was more of a playoff game. Not like the Maple Leafs over here in Canada, I tell you.
Exact opposite of them.
It's totally tough. But, you know, to say I was going to retire in Philly the last game, we pushed the OT. We got to shootout. So the coach gave me a little tap that I would be playing or doing a shoot. I've only did one other shot in shootouts before. So I was fortunate to score my last shot. I scored my first shot in the NHL and scored my last shot. So it was a good finisher to the icing on the top of the cake to finish off that way with you know, a short, you know, a good career.
One of the things that our sports, I mean, there's really not a lot in common between bass fishing and hockey, other than this is one of the few times in history that both of the championships are happening around the same time because of the crazy world we're living in. But Davey, one of the things that they do have in common is in bass fishing, you get to do a circle in your boat. In hockey, you skate the arena with the cup holding it over your head. That moment, Davey, everybody watches that moment of the family getting in there and, you know, doing the ride. And there's the iconic pictures, the flag over your shoulder. So, I mean, it's such a moment, but you're still just a guy in a boat with a trophy. You know, what does it feel like when you are that guy? That does it, like, do you remember actually thinking anything as you went around, or was it literally like, wow, I got to make sure I'm smiling for the cameras?
So this is the crazy thing that I think no one remembers, but me. I'm the only person in modern history, 20 years before me and ever since, 5 minutes before I go in the Coliseum, and I had a 5-pound lead going into the final day, and then had a real good day the last day. And everybody was like, it's not even close. It's not even close. And it wasn't. I won by, I think, 9-15, let's say 10 pounds. So it was no question that I was about to ride in the boat with my son. And I'm about to drive through in the tunnel, and someone working with bass came up to me and said, listen, there's not going to be that victory lap in the boat. We've got all these fireworks, and we've got this thing on the stage. And I look at him, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the Bassmaster Classic. That's tradition. Nope, we've got this planned out. It's going to be great. So I did not ride in the boat with my son, but I did hold the trophy. They were around me. And, you know, I looked at my son and said, you know, promise made, promise kept kind of deal. But I will say this, and this came, I don't know where this came from. When I did raise the trophy over my head, just all of a sudden, I looked at all the fans, and this might sound corny, but this is exactly what went on in my mind. When I raised the trophy up over my head and I saw all the people, and so many are, you know, Federation anglers and that sort of thing, and I said, wow, I wish everyone here could experience what I'm feeling right this moment. All I wanted really right that moment is it was like a utopia. I wanted everybody that have traveled and followed our sport to be able to experience. Obviously, can't happen, but that's the thought that went through my mind.
Bix, you, I mean, first of all, Davey, I'm blown away that you didn't get I mean, we have to write that somehow. I mean, that is, I mean,
it was a bust because they never did it again after that. I'm like, it's the Bassmaster Classic. You ride around with your family. But anyway.
I mean, we'll figure. We're gonna figure out some way to fix that at some point. I don't know how, but you have to have your ride around. I mean, it's gonna be funny because I'm gonna make your kid sit on your knee. Although he's twice your size right now.
Yeah.
But Bryan, you got to skate around a few times, so you got the unique perspective of to do it multiple times. And if you did something wrong the first time, you could ride it the second time. But tell me, what is that? What does that feel like? Like what in that moment? Does it feel?
It feels so real. Like it's a moment that you dream your whole life to play hockey, to travel, to injuries from non-sleeping to just everybody. Like you lift that cup, if it's 35 pounds, but it feels like a feather. Yeah, it's a lifelong dream. You're so happy, but then you also think for those people that helped you, those people, like I did all the on ice stuff, but there's multiple family, parents, wife, girlfriend, whoever. There's so many people that are a part of it. And that's what goes through your head when you're lifting, because that trophy is not just for me, but it's those people that, supported me, pushed me to get there. And it's a memory that, it's just so surreal. I know the first time I touched it, I was a little nervous because I was a young guy. I lift it, then I'm like, who do I give it to? Who would I give it to? The second time I got it, I was like, I'm doing laps. I did like 2 or 3 laps, and it was in Boston Garden, so it was awesome because the fans are quite harsh there. But to do it in front of obviously your friends and family, it was obviously an awesome moment, and then having a couple of days with it the party, because we don't get to keep our trophy like Davey does. We get to have like little replicas, which you can put in your office. But this cup, there's only a couple of them. There's a showcase one, and then there's the one that we bring on the ice and we kind of party with, that we kind of put some dents in it and do some drinking out of. But
tell me something ridiculous. There's no way that anybody will listen to this podcast if you don't give me some goods. So give me some goods. Like what is something that happened to that cup? Because a lot's happened to it while I was around. So I could only imagine what happened to it when the party, when you win a Stanley Cup, is very unlike a lot of other parties. I mean, talk to me about what that trophy goes through.
It does attract a good party. It's I think it's the best party trophy by far. If that trophy could tell a story and write a book or a movie, man, like it wouldn't be rated or even published or anything like that. It's obviously there's a lot of drinking out of it, but there's a lot of closed doors that goes on. I know rated R and things like that, but it's something you get it only for 24 hours, so you got to do as much with it what you can, because those are memories they're always going to have. So
you went from rated R to you got to do as much with it as you can, and now the entire world thinks you did horrible things with the cup. Just so you know.
So Dave, he's a teacher now. He's not going to really tell those stories. He just says, it's rated R. I'm a teacher. I can't talk about those kind of things.
I got the kids in the other room, so.
Well, maybe that's how they ended up there. I mean, the math doesn't add up totally, but dents and things like that have happened to that cup.
Oh yeah, dents. I think I still have a dent in the one that travels around. I obviously was intoxicated quite a bit. Obviously drinking slippy water, drinking. It's all slippery. You drop it a couple of times, but it gets polished and banged up, and that trophy's it's always gonna be there, and it's I'm just so fortunate to win it multiple times.
Well, Davey, obviously your accomplishment, I mean, Bryan's accomplishment, a team accomplishment, your accomplishment, so much more because it's an individual accomplishment, right, Bryan?
But he's got a team behind him too, I swear. He's got cooking dinners and lunches and all that for him to perform.
He definitely does have a team, but did you figure out a way to drink out of, I mean, Classic Trophy's right behind you. Did you figure out a way to drink out of it, or was there any partying happening with that, or you're going to be a teacher?
I did not figure out a way to drink out of it, but I was in New Orleans when I won, so it was a late night. I can promise you that.
The one thing we're going to hear this whole week, the Bassmaster Classic or in the NHL playoffs, is one thing you're going to hear about is experience and how much, we're going to talk about it, Davey, in the coverage. You know what I mean? Like, he's been here so many times. As two competitors that had several kicks at the can, how much does experience really matter? Or is that something that people like me, the talk, move the hole that makes the words, just bring up to talk about?
So me personally, I would go back to that second place finish. It did a lot for me in a lot of different ways, but one thing, it told me that I was good enough to win. I didn't quite do it then, but it gave me a lot of confidence. So, experience is a lot, and we might have a rookie win it this year, but at each and every classic, even after I'd just been to a few and I was still competing, if I was in the event or now like we're covering the event, when I hear a young person say, "Oh, it's just another tournament, it's just me against the fish," and da 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 da, well, it's certainly not true. I mean, it's a different deal, and if you've experienced it a few times, you learn how to really, I guess, pace yourself is so important, because you have to get up, super early, 3:00, 3:30 in the morning, and then you have late night interviews, you have different things going, just so much going on. I might say that not quite as much now as we had years ago with mandatory dinners. Now there's not so many of those, but experience is such a big thing, no doubt.
Bryan, how about you? Going into different playoffs, did experience help you? Were you a different player when with that experience?
Oh yeah, I think experience in any team sport is very important for situations. Obviously, there's not that golden brick road that there's just you follow it, you're going to win to it. No, there's obviously hiccups in between. With hockey players, we have short memories because if you do something bad, you don't want to have that memory stick in your head for the next play because it's legit seconds like snap of the finger, and it's the difference of winning or losing. Yeah. And it's probably like that in fishing where you miss that one key bite, but then you can't let it get to you. You need to move on and make it the next cast or whatever. But it's like us. The next shift is just as important as the last one, even if it didn't go well. To forget it, to move on. The experience is a huge part to know what to expect in different situations and to do the right thing. And it's like it's just like a hamster wheel. You just got to keep on going. And if you fall off, you need to get back on. And it's a crazy thing, but I'm happy to have that experience and give it to the younger guys that we had coming in too.
Well, I mean, both of you achieved incredible things, but I got a blunt question. I want you to really honestly answer this because I know you're both humble guys and you're going to sidestep around, not give me the real goods. But I want to know what you think about this because you both said it. I grew up with players that were better than me. I fished with people, you know what I mean, that were as good as me, if not better than me, that never achieved this. So I'm going to ask you each individually, and I'll start with you, Davey. Why did you win this? When you look at so many anglers, so many great anglers that came, so many anglers that had so many opportunities, but why did you win the Bassmaster Classic?
Well, I want to say honestly, and I'm not avoiding your question because I'll add a little more to it, but I was very blessed because, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Dave. I've grown up around fishermen, at a local level and right on up all the way to the best of the best. And I've seen a lot of great fishermen in our sport in particular, there's a lot of mental games, so to speak. And they're not games, they're part of our sport. And, I grew up, my parents divorced at 5 years old. That's tough on the kid, but you learn to deal with it. And I learned to deal with it by being on the water, but I learned to deal with mom and dad not being in the same household and had to go to mom's when I wanted to be with dad, that sort of thing. But a lot of things shape you. Me being in the military, basic training 1 week after high school graduation, a lot of different things. But the competitive desire to work hard, to be the best. There's just so many things that go into it. And I was able to experience a lot of those things kind of at a young age. And some things I didn't know when a drill sergeant was, barking down my neck, making me do push-ups and chin-ups or whatever. It was kind of molding me as a better competitor on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail.
Bryan, same question.
Just the drive, being from Canada, that's the thing that you want.
Yeah, but there's a ton of kids from Canada that have drive. There has to be more than that.
Well, it helped that I was 6'4", obviously. That was a big thing. With the game nowadays, it's lots of speed, but when I played, it was more physical. And, to have my dad, he pushed me to the point to make me who I am, the hard-nosed, physical, don't think about anything, just do it. And don't ask questions, because if you ask questions, then you're behind, you're at the back of the line. So, my family was obviously a huge part to help me be who I am. I think it kind of who I am as a person showed on the ice. Just the drive, the never give up. I know there's times when I was on the bus in the minors where, I'm like, man, I wish I had an 8 to 5 job and see my parents, see my friends, have weekends where I never had a weekend. I just had to just go to city, grinding out, getting punched in the head, to getting surgeries almost every other season. But that was just the dream, to push myself to get to that goal. And again, like Davey said, I was unfortunate to obviously fall into the Blackhawks, getting drafted by them in 2004, and then being a part of their system, and then being brought up at a huge time where they picked up some big pieces with Taves and Kane. So, and then they made a great molding team. I know it's not just one person makes this team. It's everybody from the fourth line to people in the medical staff. It's a big part that, everybody pushed each other to succeed. And, it's, I got goosebumps just thinking about it, because it's so great memories that we had, and so many good people that we crossed, and just the goal, the push, the drive. That's the thing in anything in life. If you don't have that, then there's no sense trying. If you have that, then you can really succeed in anything.
Is the drive that's when you think back, that's the biggest part of it, really, isn't it? I would imagine like the accomplishment at the end is one thing, but it's the drive to get there that is the challenge in life, I would imagine.
Oh, anything in life, with me being a teacher at home, it's driving me, I tell you that. But
driving you insane.
It's some people are put on the earth to drive and to exceed in things, and if you don't have that in sports and anything in life, then you need to look at a different path. But my drive was in anything, like you said before. I'm very competitive. I don't like losing. I like to win in anything. And that drive is it's internal, and it's built in me from my parents. And I'm hopefully going to teach my kids to hopefully the same thing. So that drive, if you have it, and you need to use it in different ways. And I think I had it.
Competition in anything, you want to win, but there's certain people that probably drive you while you're competing. Davey, you mentioned mental warfare, that kind of stuff. Who was the greatest trash talker, or who did you like to beat the most? I know you. Davey, you are a Southern gentleman. You are everything I wish I could be. But I want you to shed that right now and give me who drove you the most on the water?
As far as who I wanted to beat the most, who'd
you enjoy winning from? Like who, if you said, okay, it's going to be me and this guy down to the wire. So I guess I'll have to say, I've never really thought about that a lot, but I'm thinking about it now. And I roomed with Kevin Van Dam for 12 years. And I promise you, if I was, didn't make the final cut, I'd pull for him. I never pulled against him. Yeah. Unless it was, and I really didn't pull against him and say we were both in the, in the final couple. No. But
you want to beat the best. And through my career, and I think, even at this point, probably, I don't know how anybody could argue any different, really, with all-time winnings and what he has accomplished in his career. So I guess Kevin Van Dam, although he's a close friend of mine, and you want to beat the best, and you don't want to beat some guy that just was there that you'd never heard of, but
you still want to beat the best. I hate to say it in
a way, but it was him.
Yeah, and that's not an insult. I mean, Davey, you're no different. You still want to beat the best. You hurt your back in a sack race, beating who?
Kevin.
So I don't think your drive is any different, whether it's the Bassmaster Classic or a Memorial Day sack race. Bickell, anybody that drove you a little harder, a chirper on the ice or something like that?
There's the sport of hockey. There's chirping every shift. Whoever's in front of me, if it's a player or just the team, you want to beat them. I know there's certain guys where you just want to rip their head off, but obviously you have circumstances of time of the game and not put your team. You put your team first. You don't do individually, because if you're individual, you're not going to do well in the sport of hockey. So you just push those things aside and look at what's in front of you. And it could be certain players where you have some bad experiences with, where you fought them multiple times, and it's about, here it comes again. And no, you don't think about that. You kind of have that in the back of your head, but you're more concerned of the moment, the game. You want to win. That's the biggest thing. So I don't really have a specific person, but if I had to pick one person that I would not see, if I saw him on the side of the road and he's stranded, I would not pick him up. It would probably be Kevin Bieksa, actually. There's just something about that guy. I had tussles with him, just the way he talked, and he was good at it, but it's just something about him that I just didn't cross eyes together on the ice for sure.
Well, I mean, let's hope he's not stranded on the side of the road sometime. But I want to thank you guys both very much. Last question I got for you, and it's probably a question that you both hate getting, because I know you hate getting it, Davey. You hear it. I've heard people say it to you 700 times. What do you miss? Do you miss it, and what do you miss about competition?
So I give the wrong answer there. Very seldom do I miss it. I mean, I just don't, because I'm still involved in it.
Yeah.
The one event this year that I wasn't involved in the last couple of days, I thought, wow, this is what everyone's been asking me. I miss it right now because I'm not there. Whether you're covering it or whether you're in the event, you feel like you're a part of it. And the Bassmaster Tournament Trail and BASS has been a part of my whole family's life for, almost 30 years. So as long as I'm able to still cover it and work with you, Dave, and that sort of thing, I don't really miss it. But when I'm at some point in my life, I guess, I'll be away from the events and not have anything to do with it as a competitor or as, working, covering the event, doing commentary, what have you. That's when I will miss it really bad.
Well, Bryan, I know you've stepped away from it, and obviously dealing with your family and everything like that. So I'm sure you miss it. But I'm going to talk to you more about your future. How long till you're competing for the Bassmaster Classic? Because you're not just a ex hockey player. I mean, you can catch them, and you were supposed to fish the Opens this year, but COVID screwed that. And will we see you in the Opens next year? And will you take Davy Hite's Bassmaster Classic records?
I just want to go on a trip around the rink in the boat.
Well, that's taking Davy's record right there. You do that once.
Yeah. No, I was supposed to go to the Opens, Northern Opens this year, but the COVID protocol wasn't in favor of me and my family, so we have to push it back to next year. So I just want to have fun. I enjoy fishing. There's a thing that a lot of guys do in the summertime. One was golf, and I enjoyed fishing. I picked it up when I was a young age, and fortunate to get some boats, to get some lures, and just enjoy my summer. And it's just something that drives me to not knowing when the next bite is, and to put those pieces of the puzzle to figure out the fish. That's just something that drives me now. And I do a lot of local tournaments around here, so I like to have fun. I'm pretty relaxed. I'm not saying I take it too serious, but if you take it too serious, you're going to put yourself behind the eight ball. And to be relaxed is a big thing in any sport, and I think fishing especially, because you stress out, you're gripping it too tight, and you're not making the right moves and making the right decisions.
Well, I'd love to see you there one day, and I honestly believe that I'm not just saying this just because he's a buddy, but I believe that he could make it there. And let's finish this with some breaking news. I mean, it's Bassmaster Classic week. We got some big news. Davey, I don't know if you're comfortable with me breaking this right now, and Bickell, I don't know if you were aware of this, but Davey's been skating a lot, and he plans to throw his hat into your ring as well. You're not just the only one going to the Bassmaster Classic. Davy Hite, is it true that you are trying out for the NHL?
Well, that is my future goal, but kind of like the minor leagues, it's sack racing. I won my first competition last weekend, so once we graduate from that, then yeah, it's on to the ice.
Well, you guys have ice where you are?
Do you have ice where you are, Davy?
Well, heck no.
In drink.
I have ice in the refrigerator or freezer.
Or your southern tea.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Well, thank you guys very much. Enjoy the Bassmaster Classic, and I'm not good at this, so bye. Maybe this says a lot about me. I mean, first of all, thanks to those guys for a great interview, but maybe this says a lot about me. I am the lowest hanging fruit, lowest common denominator, whatever you want to. I mean, ever since Bickell said the X-rated stuff on the Stanley Cup, it leaves me wondering what he was talking about. So let's not wonder anymore. Let's just put him on the spot and get him on here right now. All right, Bix, I know you're up at the cottage. Sorry to bother you on your personal time, but I had to ask this. I mean, some questions I can't ask in front of Davey because, I mean, he's just, like I said, a better individual than me. But I did hear you say X-rated things happen with the cup. Give me some dirt.
X-rated. I didn't do any X-rated, but I heard multiple stories and sources that some guys, I don't know if they made babies on it or if they just had fun, but I'm sure like 1 out of 10 guys did it. I just didn't want to do it. I was going to be drinking out of it the rest of the day and partying it. But I'm 100% sure some guys have made love on Lord Stanley. Yes.
So let's get this clear. You did not, correct?
I have not made love on Lord Stanley. No, I have not.
But it is rumored that others do.
There's a guarantee that there's rumors, there's people did it. And I know they tell stories of we have behind closed doors in the Masters where the magic happens. But 100% that guys have maybe made babies on it or, just had fun with it at the same time.
What's the percentage out of 10? How many out of 10?
I say at least 1 out of 10. And you know how many parties there's been over the years. So yeah, it's seen some stories and seen some different things, but it's you have it for a day, so you got to enjoy it in whatever way you want to do it.
To each their own. Breaking news right here. 1 out of 10 Stanley Cup winners does you know what on the cup. I'll let you get back to fishing, Bix.
Fishing? No, I'm not fishing, golly. I'm
What are you doing?
Contractor work now. I'm doing a bunch of renovations at the cottage. Working in this heat, staring at the water. Wish I was on the water, but work's got to be done.
All right, well.
I'm not teaching today, which is good.
Teacher, contractor. He does everything but make love on the Stanley Cup. Thank you, dude. There you have it. Breaking news. 1 out of 10 Stanley Cup champions humps on the cup, according to Bryan Bickell. I'm not sure how I did this. I mean, it is Bassmaster Classic week. I got a podcast where I brought 2 champions together from 2 different sports, and it still ended with us talking about humping on the Stanley Cup. So at the same time that I say I apologize to you and I say I'm sorry, I also feel like I should say you're welcome. This has been Mercer. Have a great week. Enjoy being and enjoy the Bassmaster Classic. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?